Dr. Laura Froyen. My background is in human development and family studies with a specialization in couple and family therapy. And this, what you're watching right now, is Lunch Break with Laura. Hi to everybody who's joining and hopping on. It's so nice to see you. I am so glad to have you here with me because today we're going to be talking about something that's super important. We're going to be talking about body positivity. Now, this is something that is near and dear to my heart. It's a place where, in terms of self-growth, I am in right now. And I wanted to share a little bit of my journey with you and some of the things that I've learned along the way. Now, I want to make it really clear right from the very get-go that I am not an expert on this by any means. I am learning as I'm going, and I am doing my best. So I wanted to just share some of these things, but I also am going to share some resources for you to the people, to links to the people's accounts and books that have helped me in my journey and hopefully can help you. What I'm talking about today is a message that I think everybody needs to hear. Whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, whether you are don't identify as either. I think this is something, we all have bodies and we all need to hear this message. So body positivity as a term has become this really big buzzword, I feel. And as I'm hearing it more and more, I feel like it's taking on this kind of feeling like the word self-care has, where we are told we're supposed to be doing it, we're supposed to be having it, but we aren't actually given a lot of information about what it is it actually means and how to go about getting there. And so that's what I want to talk about today. So body positivity at its very core is the idea, or it asserts that all bodies are good bodies. Your worth as a human being, as a person, is not tied in any way to your appearance. Whether you are worthy of love, happiness, joy, connection, pleasure, none of those things are determined by what you look like, how much fat you have on your body, how much you weigh, how much a number on the scale shows, how tight your jeans are. None of those things have anything to do with whether or not you are deserving of love, compassion, connection, passion, pleasure, touch, life, okay? Those things you are worthy of simply by the virtue of being alive, okay? And that's what body positivity is all about. Now, I see it get talked about a lot in terms of body confidence or loving your appearance. And I think that makes it seem unattainable for a lot of us who have spent our whole lives hating ourselves, hating on our bodies, hating on what we look like. It seems like a really big jump to move from hating ourselves, and we'll talk about why we hate ourselves. That jump from hating ourselves to loving ourselves seems really big when we are focused on appearance. And so there's a kind of in the middle ground, or a kind of a co-movement called body neutrality. Yes, absolutely. If neutral is where you need to be neutral. But I think the one thing that I really want you guys to take away from this talk today is that being positive about your body has nothing to do with feeling positive about your appearance. So what we are doing is decoupling appearance from worth and appearance from our body at all. All right, so we can love our bodies, feel joy in our bodies, enjoy our bodies without having to love our appearance. What I'm asking you to do is to actually stop thinking about your appearance at all, okay? Especially when it detracts from your enjoying and your experiencing joy in your body. Some of the guiding principles for learning to love yourself and think positively about your body regardless of physical appearance. That's what we're digging into today. The big piece that I want to get across today is that your body is not the problem. The culture is the problem. And we really need to take a close look at who is defining what an ideal body is, because we are targeted and we are inundated every day with this idea of an ideal. And the problem is that this ideal has been set forth by companies that want us to feel bad about ourselves. They are invested in making us feel bad about ourselves, because the worse we feel about ourselves, the more action we're going to take to fix that. And just so conveniently, these companies have the solution for us. And it's ours for a low, low price of $29.95 or whatever it is. They create a problem. The problem is manufactured by these companies who claim to have the solution. So important for us to get crystal clear on. They are manipulating us. right? These companies led and run mostly by men, white, straight, cis men who are able-bodied and privileged in a lot of different ways. They are working together to determine what this ideal is. And they have chosen an ideal that is unattainable for pretty much everybody. There's research on this, right? And so about the ideal that gets put out in media, gets blasted at us from all sides, is naturally achievable by about 5% of the population. And they've hit on this. They've struck gold that they have taken this ideal that really nobody can attain. And even the people who supposedly have attained it really haven't, because airbrushing and digital enhancement that happens, you can guarantee that pictures in magazines, on magazine covers, even the videos that we see in movie theaters, all of those things have been digitally retouched and enhanced. So even the people who supposedly have this ideal don't actually have it. We're seeing something that's completely fake, and we're being told that we need this in order to be good and worthy. Okay, this is a huge scam, and we've been buying into it, right, for a long time. And so I really want you to really open your eye on that piece of things, that this is about commercialism. This is about marketing. This is about money. And it's a big industry. And they make money off a problem, solving a problem, claiming to solve a problem that they have created. There's not actually a problem here. Our bodies, our appearance are not the problem. It's the industry that's the problem. It's the culture that's the problem. And so I really want to be super clear on that with you all here today. Once we've decided that, realize that our problem is not our bodies, our problem is the culture that we're embedded in, we can start being much better consumers, much more discerning consumers. We can start questioning what we see and what's being put out there, and we can start teaching our children to do this too. Okay, so that's something that we're going to get to in just a minute. How do we keep our children from developing these insecurities, this level of shame around our bodies that we have? No, if you're growing up in the society that you're going to get exposed to no matter what. The next piece that I want to talk to you about is how we tie morality and goodness to things that have no business being tied to morality and goodness, like our appearance. So body positivity is not about changing the standard or the ideal of beauty or making a new body shape or size the ideal. It's about getting rid of the ideal altogether, saying that we are not going to be limited by an ideal that's decided by somebody else, and we're also not going to be limited by an ideal that's decided by us. We are going to take away the concept of there being an ideal body away altogether. That's what body positivity is. It's about decoupling appearance from anything meaningful about ourselves as people. Okay, right now they're tied together. We are going to break that chain. That's what body positivity can do for you. That's what it does as a movement. And that's what we can do for our children too. So we're not tying morality or goodness to our appearance. Body positivity isn't actually about appearance at all. Isn't about loving the way your body looks. It's about not letting the way that your body looks get in the way of loving yourself. All right. So it's really about stopping focusing on appearance altogether. Body positivity isn't about loving your body's appearance. It's about loving your body because it's yours. And it's the only one you have, and it deserves it. That's why the body neutrality things tends to ring a little false for me, because most people who are drawn to body neutrality are still focused on appearance. And if you're still focused on appearance, then you've kind of missed the point. It's about letting go of appearance as a measuring stick at all. All right, so appearance is kind of going out the window. The other piece of this that really gets me riled up is that this is a feminist issue. And before I delved into this process for myself, I didn't really realize how oppressive a system it is, how oppressive the health and beauty system is. And as a card-carrying feminist, it's surprising to me that I didn't realize how oppressive of a system it is. But I do now, and I want to share that with you. So when someone is seen as a body first and a person second, this is when we stop being people and start existing as objects. Okay, and that's what this movement is about. It's about reclaiming ourselves as people and stopping the objectification process. Stopping us being objectified from the outside, but also recognizing that we objectify ourselves a lot. When we are focused on our appearance, when we are focused on what we look like, we are engaging in the act of self-objectification. That's the so being moving from being able to focus on our appearance allows us to stop being objectified. And we do it to ourselves. We are complicit in our own oppression in this way. And if we want women to be valued as more than their bodies, then we have to start with ourselves and make that radical decision to no longer objectify ourselves. So being able to boldly state, I am not my body. I'm not defined by my body. And this means shifting our focus. This means going from the statement of all bodies are beautiful to all people are deserving of rich, fulfilling lives regardless of outward appearance. Okay, so we're not talking about keeping the focus on bodies as objects. We're breaking free from that objectification process, from external objectification and from self-objectification. So this means thinking about our bodies less, or at least thinking about our appearance less. This means letting go of body fixation. If you are constantly thinking about your appearance, then you've fallen into self-objectification. Whether you're thinking about it in a positive way or thinking about it in a negative way, you're still objectifying yourself. And so part of body positivity involves actually thinking about yourself and your body's appearance less. All right. And so the key to body positivity is to feel good about yourself, who you are, regardless of what you look like. That's the gift of it. And so one of my favorite ways that it has been most helpful for me in attaining this is to have mantras that I say to myself when I catch myself thinking about what I look like or my appearance, or focusing in on those things, engaging in self-objectification, and feel myself getting pulled in to a process like body shame, where maybe outside trigger, like seeing a spokesperson or a model or an actress and having some self-deprecating thoughts. When I start getting sucked into that, having some mantras ready to go. And I bet you have some on your own, and I would love to hear them. I missed a comment from my friend Vivek of Meaningful Ideas on Instagram. He says, feminism allyship includes men deprogramming their societal imposed standard of beauty. Yes, this is not just about women and what we feel. I mean, yes, of course, we need, most of the people who are watching this are going to be women, but this is about men too. And this isn't just about raising our little girls to love themselves. This is about raising men to love themselves and to also not be sucked into the objectification culture that they're growing up in. We are not talking about just teaching our little girls to love themselves. We are talking about teaching an entire generation about body positivity, and that's where we're going next. I would love to hear your mantras. Here are some of the ones that have resonated most with me. I'm going to say them and let them sink into you for just a minute. And if you love them, they're ringing for you, give me some likes and loves, send those hearts across the screen for me. Okay. So this first one is powerful for me. My body is an instrument, not an ornament. Boom. Right? Mind blown. I think we engage in that ornamentation process ourselves so much. And so I really want to get crystal clear on that. My body is an instrument, not an ornament. Another one is, I am worth so much more than how I look. I am more than my body. My worth is not defined by a number on a scale. When I was letting go of weighing myself, this is something that I really had to say to myself a lot. And the next one has been really powerful for me. I have gone on this journey. My life is not a waiting room. The amount of time that I have wasted on my appearance, thinking about my appearance, focusing on my appearance, planning my next meal, worrying about what I'm wearing or what other people are thinking about what I'm wearing or what I look like, or not enjoying love making with my partner because of what I'm worried about what I might look like, not enjoying a beach vacation because I'm not worried about what I might look like in a swimming suit, not wearing clothes that I love because I'm worried about how they look on my body, right? And so we spend a lot of time waiting for this ideal that is unattainable, is manufactured, that we're never going to get to, and we waste our lives on it. So this phrase for me, my life is not a waiting room, has been really powerful for me. Okay, so how can we show up for our kids in a body positive way that not only keeps us moving in the right direction, but models for them how to unabashedly love themselves in a world that wants us to feel bad about ourselves? Okay, this is a battle. It's going to be an uphill battle. It's going to be hard, and it takes a lot of conscious decision and intention. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Kenzie has a good one. My body is not the most interesting thing about me. That is so true. Every next person on the planet has a body, right? But there's only one you. Yeah. And this is amazing. And so And these are the things we want our kids to know, right? We want these feelings, this confidence for our kids. And in order for our kids to have it, we have to have it ourselves, okay? I'm gonna give you 10 ways to encourage body positivity in our kids and to raise a generation of body positive people. I'm gonna give you 10 ways, powerful ways that we can do it right now. And the first one is deal with your own stuff. Okay, if any of this is hard for you, if the idea of thinking about your body in a positive, loving way, acknowledging the gifts that it's given you, that is hard for you to do, get yourself to a therapist. Get yourself to a body positive therapist. And if you can't find one right away, if the first person you go to see isn't giving you what you want, keep trying to find another one, okay? And work with them and work on this stuff. So deal with your own stuff. That means see a therapist. Read the books, unfollow all of the unhelpful people on Instagram, on Facebook, and start following some really key people. One of my favorite one is Body Posy Panda. She is the best. And I love going to her Instagram page because she just brings so much love and light into the world, and she's just unabashedly herself. I love it. So do your own stuff, surround yourself, and do kind of get in to the work of this. That's the number one thing you can do to raise a generation of body positive kids. Okay, the next one is throw your scale away. I still am struggling on this. This is something that in the process of happening for me for right now, it's put away. But throwing your scale away is an important step because keeping it present and having and engaging in weighing process, even if you aren't really tied to the number of the scale, it sends a signal that this information is somehow important, that it somehow matters. And so if your kid sees you stepping onto the scale every day, even if you're fine with what it says, you're still sending the message to them, this metric is important, okay? So getting rid of it sends the message that this metric isn't important, and it really isn't. And what we know from research is that their health is not really tied very closely to what we weigh, that number on the scale. There's much better metrics of health, and so we really don't need to know that most of the time. So getting rid of the scale, and if you're struggling with that idea, see a therapist. That's why I see a therapist, where I'm still working there. It's okay. We don't have to be perfect at this, right? We can be in progress. Kayla says, my body often feels good and does good things. Shira says, this is the body you were given and it is perfect for you. It was literally made for you. Mara says, accept where you are today without judgment, not where you were yesterday or where you hope to be tomorrow. Yes, being present in the moment where you are and accepting that. Love it. Great. Okay, good. Okay, so the next step in raising body positive kids is to start acknowledging differences. Not necessarily glorifying differences, but being neutral about differences. So if your kid starts noticing differences, like, hey, mom, that person is fat. Being able to say, you're noticing differences in size and that person does have fat on their body. And then maybe having a little conversation about how everybody has a body. All bodies are good bodies. And not everybody likes to have their bodies spoken about. And we don't really need to talk about each other's bodies all the time. So being able to have an open conversation where kids are noticing differences while kind of teaching them good social graces while not demonizing words like fat, which is a term for how much of one type of cell we happen to have on our body, right? So de-stressing that too. All right, so then watching your language, focus on anything and everything but physical appearance as much as you can. Your kids are going to be inundated with messages that their physical appearance is something that's important their entire lives. And so we can rest assured that they're going to get those messages. We don't need to focus on it in our house. So if we're going to be talking about ourselves, being able to talk about what our body does, what we can do with our body, how we enjoy our body, how our body feels, and talking about other parts of ourselves that have nothing to do with our body, like our mind and our heart and our compassion, all of those things. Shira says, do you think it's a problem to have a scale in the house if you only use it for medication purposes? Just like in case I need to know for how much my kids weigh for giving them Advil or whatever. No, absolutely not, Shira. I don't think so. Although I will tell you that most pharmacies and medical offices will let you run in with your child and give you a weight if you don't want to have it in your house. For some people, having a scale in the house is incredibly triggering. And if that's you, there's lots of ways to be able to check your child's weight. without having one in your house. You can probably even run to a neighbor's house to check it if you need to. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But also, like, if you're being very clear with your kids on how you're using it and they aren't seeing you use it. I grew up knowing in a house, both of my parents weighed themselves almost every day. And the simple knowledge of that did a number on me. And so it's something that I really want to not be present for my kids as they grow up. So the next step is to teach them to be discerning consumers of media. You know, we do this in a lot of different ways in our house, but we talk about what people want us to know when we look at media, what we might accidentally learn by looking at media in a certain way, and what marketers especially are, what their goal is. So when we walk down a toy aisle, for example, at Target, we are looking at these toys. And if my kids say, like, "Ooh, I really, really want this," we talk about it. We talk about, why do you really want that? Oh, the packaging is so pretty. Oh yeah, there's people whose whole job it is, is to find out what kind of packages kids like and figure out which ones will make their kids ask their parents for it. And we talk about not getting tricked or deceived by these people who are trying to trick us. And we talk about this in terms of diversity that we see in the media that we consume. So in movies, we talk about how many of the Disney princesses, for example, are light-skinned, European, thin, and that there's not very much diversity in ability or skin tone or size. Right? So we talk about those things and we notice them, and we contrast that to our real lives. So we help children draw that connection rather than letting that kind of subtle subconscious message go unchallenged into their brain. Okay, so bring those subconscious messaging that happens when your kids are consuming media, or even just walking through a grocery store, bring those subconscious lower level subtle messaging out into the light and examine them, and teach your kids to examine them. All right, so that's a process you can engage in right now with your kids at any age. So the next piece, number 6, is joyfully love on your body and encourage them to do so too. Talking about the parts of your body that you love and what your body can do for you, engaging in movement that feels good and nourishing, taking really good care of your body. Sometimes at night after a bath, I'll put lotion on my girls and give them a massage, and we'll talk about, as I massage the lotion into each part of their body, we talk about what that part of your body gives them. We kind of engage in a almost worshiping process of, we love our bodies. We also play belly drums. We talk about the amazing things our bodies can do, and we show our bodies love, not for their appearance, but for what they can do. The next step is, so after we are joyfully loving on our bodies and they're seeing us do this, we also want to teach them to love and appreciate their bodies for what they can do and not what they look like. So those things really go closely together, but we're talking about bringing it out loud, saying it out loud. I feel so fortunate, so lucky, and so grateful that we can walk to school. It feels so good to get up in the morning, have our breakfast, and get out into the fresh air and walk to school. That's wonderful. Aren't we lucky? Being able to talk about those things with your kids and encouraging them to do so too. The next step, and this is a big one, and we do it a lot, almost unthinkingly, is that we need to stop assigning morality to inanimate objects. There's no such thing as good food and bad food. All right. There's no such thing as good movement and bad movement. There's no such thing as good bodies or bad bodies. Okay. There's no such thing as a good girl or a bad girl. These assigning morality with kids in any way, they latch onto it. In terms of moral development, kids think in black and white. Something is either all good or all bad. We train them to do that by assigning good and bad. So if you're feeling like you've been resting more lately, rather than calling yourself lazy and assigning a judgment to it, why not say, my body's been resting and now it's craving some movement. You don't have to be negative about it, and you certainly don't have to assign morality to resting. So stop assigning morality to inanimate objects or behaviors that have nothing to do with morality. And then stop linking worth and love to behavior. This is where I feel like peaceful, respectful parenting has the opportunity to revolutionize the world, because that's essentially what it is. The goal of respectful parenting is to stop assigning worth and love and value to behavior. Stop linking them together. And that's really something powerful that you can do with your kids. They are always a good person. We don't want them to draw on the walls, maybe, but that doesn't mean that they're not worthy of your love and time and affection. And really telling them that with your parenting is super important. Then the last one is teach them self-compassion, loving kindness, and gratitude. Make those three things an active part of your daily family life, and they will not be able to help but love themselves. Okay. Shira says, I stopped weighing myself a long time ago. I think it would be a really powerful message to not even have it in the house at all sometimes, because I am tempted, but I just don't do it. Maybe I'll just put it in the closet or something so it's out of sight, but we can still use it for Advil and weighing luggage. Love it. That's a great idea, Shira. Anne says, our scale is in the bedroom closet. I think the last time it was used, my husband and I used it to weigh luggage. It was a huge relief to have it out of sight. Yes, isn't that beautiful? I have mine on the shelf up in my closet. And, I noticed a couple of weeks ago, my daughters asked where it was and had a wave of guilt come over me and shame that I had it so prominently placed in our house. I offered myself some compassion and grace in that moment. And I told them that I had put it away because we weren't using it and we didn't need to know anything that it offered at that point in time. And that was it. But that's where self-compassion and loving kindness comes in, treating ourselves with compassion and grace in this process. It's so important that we offer that to ourselves, and it's so important that our kids see us offering that, and then that we teach them actively how to do that with themselves, because they are going out into a cruel world. They're going out into the world that wants them to hate themselves so that they can be sold a fix for it, a solution for it. And the way we combat that is by inundating them now with self-compassion, with loving kindness, and with gratitude. And I really feel that super strongly. That's why we do a gratitude journal at dinner most nights. That's why I practice self-compassion out loud when I've made parenting mistakes. That's why we do loving kindness meditations together as a family. I really think that those are the things that will build resilience and bring about change, at least at my family's level, and hopefully if more people are doing it at a global level. This was a great conversation. I loved all of the feedback and the things that you guys had to say. That's all I have for offering you today, but I would love to hear about how you are teaching your kids to be body positive, or at the very least, how this has impacted you and made you maybe change the way you are doing things in your family and in your home. I would love to hear more about your journey, and I hope you stop treating your life like a waiting room and you start loving yourself, not for how you look or anything else, but simply because you are human and you're worthy of being treated with dignity, love, and respect, even by yourself. Okay? All right. Take good care of yourselves. Bye.